What is the mentality? Does this go back to the 14th Amendment, never really including women? Or, I mean, is it that most judges are men? Because as you know, when I had a real job before Dr. Phil, it was in the litigation arena. And I was many times court appointed as a trial scientist to be involved in criminal cases on a pro bono basis. And I saw exactly what you're seeing, where there was clearly a double standard and they were required to produce all of this information, which was just so much ammunition for the other side to drag up irrelevant pre-crime information to impeach the veracity of the victim and use it against them. Where are the roots of that? Why is that going on? And it's still going on.
You hit the nail right on the head, Dr. Phil, by saying, is there something about the 14th Amendment underneath all of this? And the answer is absolutely. The 14th Amendment, we all know and love as a really important constitutional amendment that was adopted by this country in 1869. And it guarantees all of us equal protection of law and due process of law. The problem is, pretty quickly after that was adopted, the Supreme Court of the United States decided that women and only women were not covered by the 14th Amendment, that the 14th Amendment was really only meant to protect Black men. So women of all colors and stripes were excluded from really the most important constitutional protections in our laws, in our most foundational laws, equal justice. Equal justice was denied women in 1869, and we still don't have it. That's what gives the judges permission and the power to say, it doesn't matter, Attorney Murphy or Dr. Phil, if you don't think this looks right, because we're giving, better protection to other types of crime victims and we're mistreating women and children who've been abused. It doesn't matter that you think that's not fair. It may not be fair, but it's constitutional. And until we fix the 14th Amendment, it will continue to be constitutional. And that's why we've been fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment for over 100 years. The Equal Rights Amendment is really the repair of the 14th Amendment. It literally says you have to give women equal protection of law because you left them out of the 14th Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment, many people don't even know about. It was first passed by Congress in 1972. We never had it ratified by a sufficient number of states. And, the important part of this story is that we need to get the word out. We need to get the word out that not having equal protection of law manifests itself in very real ways and causes suffering in the name of justice in ways that you described and in ways that I've been experiencing for decades.
And see, that's the thing. And I think there are a lot of people, men and women, but women that get victimized by it, are not aware that women do not have equal protection under the law. They don't have it constitutionally and they don't have it pragmatically. And you don't realize that until you wind up in the court system and there's somebody up there saying, HIPAA be damned, confidentiality be damned, and all of the rules of evidence that apply in other crimes all of a sudden are thrown out the window.
Right.
And all of these things that you can't bring up in a robbery case or you can't bring up in a murder case about pre-offense information that never gets in front of a jury, all of a sudden is paraded out in front of the jury about a victim that has been brutally raped. They can now talk about what she did in high school, what she did in college, what she did at a party 3 weeks before this happened. And you're sitting there saying, wait a minute, this predated the offense. What the hell does this have to do with what happened that night?
Yep.
But yet it's admitted and it's not reversed on appeal when it is clear violation of the rules of evidence. So It doesn't happen just at the trial level, it's upheld at the appellate level.
Yeah, exactly right. So when I've argued countless appeals in these cases, and I've made this point that you cannot treat these types of victims differently. It's just a violation of equal protection of law. And I make all these arguments that are about the Constitution. being designed to protect everybody equally and give everybody equal rights. And generally speaking, the courts say back to me, but you're wrong, Ms. Murphy. Women aren't entitled to equal treatment and equal protection of law under the Constitution. You need to fix the 14th Amendment and then come back and make that argument to us. And boy, is that a hard pill to swallow, to be in a court of law where there's some sign on the wall that says equal justice under law. And that's just not right. I'll give you a couple of good examples that apply specifically to therapy records that were devastating in cases. And this continues to happen today. One, I was representing a woman who'd been nearly killed by a man who had also brutally raped and killed other women. And she was brave enough to testify against him, and he demanded access to her counseling records that predated this man's brutal assault of her. We fought like hell to stop those records from being turned over, because when she had therapy, she was told by her therapist that was a private session, that what she was saying was confidential, and she needed that promise of confidentiality in order to be open about her feelings and to get better. But the judge basically, and when I challenged the judge who ordered the records turned over, I said, what does this have to do with anything about what happened the night he beat her? Why aren't you ordering her to turn over her grocery receipts if you don't care about relevancy, right? The judge slammed his gavel and said, Ms. Murphy, if you keep talking, I'm going to dismiss the charges and this man will walk free. That's what it came to. So my client started sobbing. She begged me to give him anything he wants. If this man gets out of jail, he's going to kill me. Please just give him my counseling records. So we did. And in the records, there was a description of her being sexually abused by her dad when she was a little girl. No one knew about it. Her family didn't know. And of course, what did that man use as evidence during the trial? That she had been sexually abused by her father, and she was now falsely accusing him in order to avenge her childhood experience. She ended up winning the case, but what a price to pay that had to be revealed to the whole world, because the news was covering the case. Her family found out. Everyone learned something that should have been confidential, had nothing to do with the case, was deeply personal to her. And that's a price for justice that we only impose on women, and it's outrageous.